Thank you for joining us for the 2017-2018 Game Day Scoresheet Breakdown. The Game Day division was added to highlight the leadership skills performed at football and basketball games. Every team will perform in the same order, starting with the band dance, followed by the situational sideline and timeout cheer, and finally, the fight song. The overall time may not exceed 3 minutes. The scoresheet is broken into two sections: crowd leading, which includes the sideline and cheer, and then a fight song and band dance scoresheet. Each scoresheet is worth 50 points. There is also a deduction and legality sheet. We'll cover the specific rules and regulations for this division next. For our restrictions, we'll start with the band dance section. Jumps and kicks are the only skills allowed. When moving into your fight song, you may use up to 3 8-counts of continuous incorporation. The only way to exceed the 3 8-count rule is if the fight song repeats and the incorporation happens a second time. If so, it must be repeated exactly the same way. For all parts of the game day performance, there are additional skill restrictions. Tosses are not allowed, inversions are not allowed, twisting dismounts are not allowed. Single leg stunts are limited to liberties and liberty hitches. There is to be no running tumbling, and standing tumbling is limited to 1 tumbling skill, and a back tuck would be the most elite tumbling skill allowed. Starting with our crowd leading breakdown, we have game day situation worth 5 points. This is for the team to properly respond to the audio cue given for the situational sideline. The team will determine which sideline to perform, and the score will be based on the quick performance and seamless transition to the appropriate cue given. Next, we have game day material worth 10 points. We're looking for the proper use of material and skills relevant to the game day environment. When watching the cheer and sideline, you need to ask yourself, is the cheer easy for the crowd to understand? Does it encourage crowd response? Does it engage the crowd right away? Was the material performed practical? Are all the movements and stunts used to help increase crowd participation, or are they just used for visual effect? The biggest thing is, are skills easily performed, or does execution distract from the ability to lead the crowd? Next, we have crowd effectiveness worth 5 points. Judges are going to be looking at voices, pace, flow, and crowd coverage. For voices, we're looking for teams to be loud and clear, building up to mascots, colors, and callbacks. We also want to ensure voices do not drop during the skill incorporations. When teams perform, are they loud and using proper voice inflection? Your pace should always be easy to follow and allow the crowd time to respond. When cheers become too wordy, they become difficult to follow. You also want the tempo and pace to be consistent throughout. Material should be seamless from the beginning to the end, with no abrupt transitions or tempo changes, and the material should be easy to understand. Teams should work to cover the entire crowd. Crowd leading tools are worth 5 points. Now we're going to discuss the proper use of signs, palms, megaphones, and flags. This section is judged on how well the listed props are used to help lead the crowd in responding to the cheer. For signs and flags, they should promote crowd involvement, be easy to read, and shown to the crowd in time to yell. Palms are great to indicate specific colors or times to yell. For megaphones, we can use those to project voices to the crowd. Just to note for this category, full credit will not be given automatically for using all props. Remember, quality versus quantity. Now we have motion technique worth 5 points. Judges will be evaluating technique, sharpness, and placement. They're going to be looking at the arm levels, how sharp the motions were, and proper motion placement by the entire team. Now we have crowd appeal worth 5 points. Here we'll be looking for energy, leadership, visual appeal, and connection to the crowd. Teams should encourage crowd participation utilizing natural and genuine spirit. They should be encouraging the crowd to yell from the beginning to the end while demonstrating confidence and strong leadership for the crowd, and as always, projecting enthusiasm. Next, we have execution of skills, including the proper technique, stability, synchronization, and spacing worth 10 points. Remember, skills should be solid, safe, and 100% performance ready. When talking about building, we're going to be looking for proper technique and stability. This includes the top, the base, and spot. Keeping in mind game day performance, all skills should be stable with no movement. For synchronization and spacing, we're looking for the timing of the skills and formation of skills being performed. Just remember, skills should be practical. Now we have some skill incorporation tips. For stunts, make sure you're utilizing them to make the cheerleaders more visual and to better lead the crowd. Some stunts to consider would be preps, extensions, liberties, and hitches. Most importantly, can they still lead the crowd? When adding stunts and jumps, think SSS, single synchronized skills. Synchronized is always better unless choreographed to match a response. Running tumbling is not allowed in the game day division. Teams should incorporate skills that can be performed well. These skills should not inhibit their ability to lead the crowd effectively. Do what you do well and move on. The final category for the crowd leading breakdown is the overall impression worth 5 points. Did the team lead the crowd effectively? Did they demonstrate spirit-raising antics? Did they exhibit strong athleticism? Did they keep the crowd entertained? Was the overall routine well executed, which led to a solid and safe performance? Now we'll be moving into our fight song and band dance sections. The band dance is the first section of the routine and should look similar to a 30-second timeout at a game. Should have an emphasis on the crowd appeal and practicality. No stunts or tumbling are permitted in this section, however jumps and kicks will be allowed. The final section of the game day performance is the fight song section. This section can incorporate stunts and tumbling, should be practical and easy to follow, and must follow the 8-count restrictions and, as always, the additional skill restrictions for game day. For the game day material worth 10 points, we're looking for proper use of material and skills relevant to a game day environment. Was the material practical? Were the skills relevant to a game day situation? Can this be performed at any time during a game and in any situation? For execution of band dance worth 10 points, judges will be evaluating motion placement including level of arms, wrist, and elbows, and the sharpness of those motions. They're also going to be looking for a good demonstration of a team's cheer dance ability. As part of that, they'll be making sure teams are staying on count and utilizing formations that are spread out for maximum crowd coverage. When looking at the execution of fight song, judges will take into account motion placement and sharpness, along with skill technique. Here they're looking for practical skill incorporations and the technique of those skills. They'll be looking at the stability and synchronization while teams utilize maximum crowd coverage. For crowd appeal, judges will be looking for energy, leadership, and connection to the crowd. Was there energy from the beginning to the end? Did the team keep the crowd entertained? Did the team lead the crowd effectively? Did it encourage the crowd to get involved by using props and motions? Our final category is visual appeal worth 5 points. Judges will be looking for level changes, ripples, and creative movements. They'll also take into account the use of floor throughout the routine, the variety of skills, and if the routine has a seamless flow from the beginning to end. We're also looking for use of floor and variety of formations. When we have creative transitions, we're still looking for fast, clean, and effortless. This concludes the UCA Game Day Score Sheet Breakdown. We look forward to seeing you and your team at a UCA competition. If you have any questions, please email them to ucascoring@varsity.com.